YouTube, Runa here. Welcome to my channel. This is going to be my fourth video that I have uploaded today, and third concerning things of like spell work and stuff. So, I wanted to talk about more things having to do with creating your own spells and rituals, as well as feeding them. So, as I said in my last video, I am a very big advocate of writing your own spells. I followed a fun fact about me, and when I started practicing witchcraft and things, the first spell I ever performed was one I wrote from scratch, and it worked. So, I'm thankful to be able to say that. Not everyone can say that, like, whatever I did it right. It was years ago, though, and I have that written somewhere. It was pretty, like, it was a candle spell. It was pretty simple. I remember what it was about. I don't remember everything I used, but it was a candle spell with a candle that I made from scratch, and did it for my cousin, and it worked. So that's cool, and it was all mine. So first off, why would you write your own rituals or spells? Either one. Well, first of all, there is no problem with using somebody else's stuff. As I said before in the other video, no problem with it. Do it. If it feels right, if you like the way they did something, and it all makes sense to you, do it. I will always recommend you make it yours somehow, though. Tweak something. Put your own incantation in there if you're big on incantations. Or substitute what herbs you have. And we'll get into that little piece in a second. So, there's nothing wrong with that. But why would I want you to write your own? Well, the reason I would say if you're actually going to use somebody else's and to make it your own is because you're putting yourself into it. When you take the time to write your own spells, you are deriving this magical operation from your own intuition and your own spirit. You're putting all of yourself in there. Another reason is a more practical reason in terms of, well, if you have enemies, which, we all have enemies. Even us, like, even the non-witches, you have enemies, and just because you don't practice doesn't mean the other ones don't. But, the thing that goes along the lines of working in silence, I think that would take it a step further, if you want to look at it from that perspective, is say, like, if people don't know what you're doing, they can't fuck it up for you, right? So, if you're using a spell that is entirely yours, if you have an enemy that wants to, say, screw with a particular part of your witchcraft or a part of your whole life or something, or to hex you or something of that nature, or say you're trying to attack them, it will be far harder for them to negate everything else if they don't know what you did. And say, so if you're doing something out of a book, they could look up in a book what you did, find it somewhere maybe, and bada bing, figure out how to reverse it. Or to fuck you up, essentially. Because, we can, as witches and people who can talk with the divine, we can figure out things, we can put pieces together, but it will be much harder to do that if you make it yours, and it's not written down anywhere that anyone else can get their hands on it. It's one reason why practicing in secret, or at least not sharing your spells, is a good idea. Or if you're gonna share your spells and everything, don't share absolutely everything. Always keep things in your back pocket. Keep your best shit to yourself. Because you don't want people fucking with you, Because there are a lot of petty assholes out there. There are a lot of people that want to do you harm. And, might not even want to do it directly, but they're still doing it indirectly. I have a friend who has been getting all sorts of shit. Like, when you're powerful and you look at somebody with no fondness, with all disdain and hatred, jealousy. Oh, jealousy is a big fucking pain for people. You get something like evil eye, or if you're even a step up from that, you can unintentionally send thought forms out to people and throw shadows and shit on people that will fuck with them and harm them, and that's a pain. So we're powerful in our own rights. So sometimes you can get hit with shit without people trying to, but that still doesn't mean they're not throwing it at you, and they're not feeling a certain type of way towards you as well. And maybe also you're getting caught in the crossfire or something else, because my particular friend's situation is she's caught up in the crossfire because all the disdain and animosity is towards someone that she's working with and she's friends with. So some of it is going at her too, which really sucks because she doesn't deserve it. And she didn't do anything to this person to warrant this. But in turn, she was able to figure out what it was that was happening, why, what was being done, and everything else through divination and spirit contact. So you can figure it out. But it would be much harder to do that if you're operating from something that you created yourself and you are secretive about, and you have your own things guarding those secrets and things of that nature. They may still be able to figure it out, but maybe it'll take them longer. Who knows? It all depends on who you're trying to attack. I will not advise you to attack other practitioners. That's a way to start a war. You don't want that. Don't do this. And if you're going to attack anybody, understand what you're getting yourself into. I am a darker witch, so, I'm not going to wag my finger at you for hexing or cursing anybody. I don't give a fuck. If they deserve it, go ahead. Take them down. It doesn't matter to me. But make sure that it's just, and make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, especially if they're another practitioner. Because, if they're another practitioner, they can send that shit back at you, and they can multiply. And if you send something nasty, you don't want that shit multiplied on you. So, be careful. Common sense. Use your brain. So, secrecy is important. Also, don't go telling people you're doing stuff all the time, especially if it's painful. Don't be that person that goes and tells you, "I put a hex on you last night." Don't do that shit. I mean, unless you're really confident that they can't get back at you for that, which, you must have balls the size of fucking gas giants up in the solar system. Like, I mean, what you do is for you, but don't make that mistake and go flapping your gums at people and telling them what you've been doing. It's a dumb move. And it's also a good way to get yourself with a nice ass beating, because some people really take that offense to that shit, whether you actually did anything or not. And if you can tell, I'm speaking from experience here, that I knew someone that went and did that. And I didn't do that, but he did. And it was really cringy. And I wanted to, flip 5 tables and fall over when he told me that. The most cringe, but anyway. So, keep your shit quiet. Anyway, this is not, exactly what I wanted to talk about, but important things. So, writing your own things will always be more powerful than what you find as well, because you're putting more of yourself into it. And you're also going off on your own intuition to make these things, or you're talking to spirits that you work with to help guide you to make these things, because you can most certainly get things from spirits and channel spells and stuff. I have worked with spirits that have guided me to write things or told me to do certain rituals and everything else, and it's been amazing. And then there are things I've heard called keeper rites that are rituals that are directly from demons and spirits that are given to you step by step to, get to a certain goal. And then there are things that we call downloads, where you, get the whole process in this whole, holy crap revelation kind of a trance. sort of thing. I believe they come through meditations for people, and I mean, everyone's a little bit different of how they receive information from the divine, so don't be afraid to talk to your spirits about writing spells, especially if you intend to work with a certain spirit. Like, if you're going to work with someone on something, you know, include them in the process. I mean, think of it as like partner work. You don't want to like take all of the credit there and then them still slap their name on it, or vice versa. Include them in the process, and in turn it will make it more powerful in that way, and also strengthen your bond with spirit. Nice side effects to things, isn't it? But in terms of process, that's good, but also I also want to touch on like how complicated and ingredients. So how complicated? A lot of times less is more. It does not have to have 1,015 steps, because sometimes that will complicate things too much, confuse you, put too much stress on steps, and it will just jumble itself. Instead of straight shot, laser focus, get down to your intention and build everything around that. If you want me to talk about like actually like literally how to write a ritual or a spell, like all things to consider in doing so, or how to come up with recipes for things, maybe I'll do that. Either like leave it in the comments, or maybe I'll just do it anyway. I don't know. But less is often more. In turn, using less ingredients supplement with more energy, or more using less steps supplement with more focus and energy onto those steps. I mean, you can get something amazing from something so simple that it's like, it's almost stupid. It's almost funny. Like, it's just, you wouldn't think that it would work that way, but it would. So not everything has to be super complicated. I'm sorry, I can't talk today. But not everything has to be super complicated for you to get amazing results from things. I mean, sometimes it is as simple as if you can channel this force. It can get tricky sometimes, but if you can do this, it can be as simple as having an orgasm, if you know how to do it right. And you can manifest amazing things using that power, because that is a very strong source of energy and personal, powerful energy that it's very intimate, very raw. It can be that simple. So you don't even need any ingredients. I mean, it's debatable if you're going to use stuff like additives around you to get you in the mood or whatever else, but you just kind of need yourself and whatever you know you're going to do that with. I'm not going to fucking walk you through that though. Anyway, so ingredients. Let's talk about ingredients. So you don't have to use 1,000,000 ingredients. It goes back to the simple versus complicated thing. You don't have to use 10 million herbs. I have seen people have results using maybe 1 or 2 herbs, if any herbs. And we're just talking about herbs. I mean, it goes herbs, crystals, sigils, candles, oils, whatever. So many different tools for things. But I like herbs because, for one, I see a lot of people, like in, say, in hoodoo root work things, they use 5,000 fancy ass herbs. Not all of us can afford 5 million different fancy ass herbs. I will say that now. And you don't have to feel bad for not being able to afford those, or to get your hands on them, or to keep them in stock all the time. You would be better off charging a few good ones that match your intention, that you feel will work. Now, I will also say, don't stress over correspondences. Do your research. Definitely take them into account. But like I have said about other things in like the video before and here and stuff, is use books and knowledge and rituals and things. Use them as a guideline. Don't use them as the Bible or a Bible for your practice. Just because XYZ book says this herb does this. If you don't feel this herb does this, but it does a different thing, use it for the different thing, because it does not do that for you. And it won't do that for you. Because you will be focused on the other thing, whether you realize it or not. In that notion there, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right with your spirit. Your spirit wants you to use something else. Or omit that completely. And if you force it in anyway, it's either going to screw up your spell or it's not going to do anything. And more than likely it's going to screw up your spell. Because you're just kind of throwing shit together at this point without any kind of intention or energy behind it. No one wants that. And plus, herbs are expensive, so don't waste herbs. Don't waste things. But pick the things that make the most sense to you. Not what makes the most sense to Abby Hedge Witch down the street. Or whoever the fuck. I don't know an Abby who's a hedge witch that lives near me. I don't know. It's random. But, don't rely on everybody else's shit for yours. Find your own correspondences. Now, if they match those correspondences, then by all means, use them. If that works for you, please use them. You don't have to, write your own list of correspondences yourself for every single herb or tool or implement out there. Don't feel stressed to do that. That's a fuck ton of work. Unless you want to. I mean, if you feel that is what you need and you want to get to know herbs and get to know everything else that much, please go ahead. More power to you if you want to do that. That's a very amazing experience what people have with things, to speak with the spirit of the herbs. And that's another thing I want to talk about, is letting tools present themselves to you when you're writing your own or replacing things, picking things for different spells or rituals. Let your tools speak to you. And same goes for feeding things. Let your tools speak to you and present themselves and say, I want to be used in this. I use me in this. This is going to be good. Let your intuition guide you to them. As well as once you have cast the spell, if you have to feed the spell afterwards. And say you have a bowl spell or something. Where you're adding things on a daily or whatever basis. Let the spell tell you what it wants from you. Whether it wants you to sit with it, hold it, focus with it. It wants a drop of blood. It wants some herbs. It wants a candle. It wants you to drip some wax into it. It wants a quarter or something if it's a money bowl. Let it tell you what it wants. You will bond with your spell and get more from it in that way. And it will also cut back on your stress of saying, I don't have XYZ amount of things for this. I don't have enough to feed this for this long. Oh no. Relax. Take a breath. You'll be fine. Speak with your spell. Speak with your herbs and your tools. Let them talk to you as you talk to them. Everything has a spirit in its own kind of way. Especially the things we consecrate to do magic with. Let it be involved. Let it do its job. Respect your tools and your implements, and they will in turn respect and help you. So, okay. This video is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, but it's okay. I have a lot to say, and it's important stuff. So, don't stress on things. It's the main thing, is don't stress because it's going to kill your shit. And we don't want it to kill your shit. We want you to be a good spellcaster and a good person to perform rituals and to benefit from those. So we want you to be good and not stressed out, because this should not be stressful in the act of doing this. Now, when you get into side effects of rituals and the way they change and the backlash of that thing, that's a different video. But in the act of actually formulating all of these things, it should not be a harsh process for you. Let yourself enjoy it. Have fun with it. The more fun and the more happy you are with this, and the more comfortable you are with what you've created, and in the moment, in the flow state of performing everything, the better you will be. Alright, I am finished with this. And, so let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and if this makes sense. I hope it does. My long-winded ass. But, I hope it helped. anyone who has needed help with this sort of thing, please just, relax and enjoy yourself with it. And if you do these things, if you write your own stuff, if you have a certain opinion on using other people's stuff versus using your own, or whichever else, I'd love to hear about it. So post it down below. You have an opinion? Let me know. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. Okay. Blessings to you and yours, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.